In this episode, we continue our journey with the genesis of the rivalry between basketball legends Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and a kernel of what made 1979 an iconic season of basketball. We're going to focus specifically on some of the factors that shaped their journey to greatness. This episode will offer you, the listener, a look into the world of college basketball before the rise of ESPN, 24/7 sports coverage, and the internet, Twitter, X, Threads, Reddit, Discord, or whatever the kids have migrated to, where live games and the NCAA tournament began to launch players into stardom overnight. Even before the 1978-79 season began, Larry Bird had a premonition about Michigan State's potential success. On November 14th, 1978, Bird and his teammates at Indiana State were watching an exhibition game on HBO featuring Michigan State playing against the Soviet national team. Bird was so impressed by the Spartans' dominant performance that he confidently predicted that they would win the NCAA championship. This prediction was remarkable, considering Michigan State's recent history. The program had been plagued by the controversy and instability that followed a player walkout in 1975, and, as we've mentioned before, the subsequent firing of their coach, Gus Ganakis. The arrival of Judd Heathcote as the new coach in 1976 marked a turning point for Michigan State. Heathcote was this relatively unknown figure with a background in high school and small college coaching. He's the stark contrast to the more laid-back Ganakis. Heathcote brought this intense, old-school approach to coaching, emphasizing hard work, fundamentals, and discipline. He quickly established a reputation for being demanding, unsatisfiable, and even unlikable at times, although his humor still often broke through. Even his detractors, though, acknowledged that his basketball acumen and his integrity were undeniable. He was known for his tactical brilliance, his meticulous attention to detail, and his unwavering commitment to the rules, even refusing to give his players rides or lend them money for a soda because it would violate NCAA regulations. Heathcote's demanding style initially created some friction within the team, particularly with players who were more accustomed to a more supportive environment. Greg Kelsler, who is a talented forward, and he stayed at Michigan State despite considering transferring after Ganakis' departure. He found Heathcote's constant negativity particularly challenging. Kelsler described Heathcote's coaching style as being from a negative standpoint, and he said everything was negative all day, every day. He also believed that Heathcote's approach was influenced by negative stereotypes about black players, stemming from the walkout incident that had occurred under Ganakis. The tension between Heathcote's demanding style and the free-flowing, improvisational talent of Magic Johnson, the team's star freshman point guard, was particularly evident. Johnson already exuded trademark confidence and had a charisma. He definitely was not afraid to challenge Heathcote's authority, both on and off the court. Heathcote must have known in the back of his mind that this was the one guy that he needed. And often, savvy political leaders understand the lines they can or cannot cross with the players or the personalities that hold the sway in a locker room. And this dynamic created a fascinating push and pull between the coach and the player, and ultimately it contributed to their success. Johnson's willingness to push back against Heathcote's rigidity forced the coach to adapt and find ways to harness his star players' unique abilities. There are numerous anecdotes that I could give you that could illustrate the complex dynamic between Heathcote and Johnson. For instance, Heathcote was a stickler for the dress code, particularly at team breakfast. He required players to look respectable, whatever that means. However, this rule seemingly went out the window when Johnson began showing up in sweats, and no one dared to say anything to him, and so the other players soon followed suit. During a game against Purdue, Heathcote benched Johnson after a series of early turnovers. As Johnson walked to the bench, he muttered to him, "I didn't come here to sit." Heathcote surprisingly didn't react angrily and put Johnson back into the game a minute later. One of the most memorable incidents occurred during a practice session when Johnson was frustrated with Heathcote's repeated charging calls against him. He simply sat down on the ball in the middle of the court, bringing the practice to a standstill. The entire team watched in stunned silence as Johnson and Heathcote stared at each other for several minutes before Heathcote finally just ended practice. This incident demonstrated that even though Heathcote was known for his fiery temper and demanding nature, he was also astute enough to recognize when to back down and avoid full-blown confrontation with his star player. Despite these occasional challenges and clashes, Johnson seemed to understand and respect Heathcote's desire to win. Johnson had that in himself too, just the fire within him to win games. And if someone could move that forward, he'd be willing to bend parts of his personality too. He recognized that Heathcote's intensity stemmed from this deep-seated passion for the game and his commitment to excellence. And of course, again, Johnson was this fierce competitor. He responded positively to challenges. When Michigan State started their season ranked 7th in the AP poll the season before 1979, their early performances justified the high expectations. However, their journey was not without its obstacles. In a highly anticipated matchup against North Carolina, a game that many saw as a potential championship preview, Michigan State faced its first significant test. Magic Johnson, never lacking in confidence, predicted a victory. However, North Carolina's stifling defense disrupted Michigan State's rhythm, and even Magic struggled, finishing with a season-low 6 assists and committing 8 turnovers. Despite a late surge, Michigan State fell to the Tar Heels by a single point, with star player Jay Vincent missing a potential game-winning shot in the closing seconds. Despite the early setback against North Carolina, Michigan State continued to win, eventually earning the number 1 ranking in the nation, following a hard-fought victory over Indiana. This accomplishment was a testament to the team's talent, hard work, and Heathcote's ability to blend the diverse talents of his players into a cohesive unit. However, they still had one major hurdle to overcome: a potential matchup against Larry Bird and Indiana State. The team Bird had predicted would win it all. The rivalry between Magic and Bird was more than just a competition between two supremely talented players. It represented a clash of styles, of personalities, a cultural shift in the sport itself. Magic again, those dazzling passes, infectious smile, and almost flamboyance to his persona. He embodied the new era of showmanship and entertainment in basketball. Bird, on the other hand, was stoic, wouldn't even talk to the media, hardworking, blue collar. He represented a more traditional, fundamentally sound approach to the game. Their contrasting styles captivated audience and helped to elevate basketball into a national phenomenon. Their popularity soared alongside the growing popularity of the game itself. Packed arenas, energized crowds becoming the norm. When you go through the sources on these guys, it highlights how Magic and Bird were becoming more than just players. They were evolving into icons. They were symbols of a new era in basketball, symbols that our sports heroes had become, elevated into brands and entertainment products over just the simple act of playing their game. The championship game between Michigan State and Indiana State, led by Magic and Bird, would become this legendary encounter that we started to talking about. And it's a starting point of their rivalry that would go on to define basketball. It cemented their status as icons and marked the beginning of their journey from these talented players to global superstars to phenomenon in culture. And it also emphasizes the significance of their journey. There's also a significance in their journey. Magic and Bird, despite their differences, shared a common narrative, a thread through their stories. They had both overcome challenges, and they both came from humble beginnings to achieve their extraordinary successes. Their stories are a testament to the power of hard work, to dedication, to a fiery personality, to resilience in the face of adversity. Their rivalry not only captivated fans, but also left an indelible mark on basketball, on pop culture, and demonstrated that greatness can emerge from these unexpected corners of the country. And that pursuit of excellence is a story that will transcend generations. The Bird-Magic rivalry stands as a powerful reminder of human potential in the transformative power of competition and sports. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Iconic Seasons 1979. We'll be back with more stories from the 1979 season. If you like this week's episode, leave us a rating or review. Until next time, keep your dribble low and your eyes up.